This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
When Soup asks for Smokey to be kissed on the noggin, Smokey gets kissed on the noggin. Mr. Smokey! Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking, Thursday, right? It's a freaking Thursday. Welcome. Good evening. Soup, Warlord, Minty Treasure, clinically. So glad to see you guys. Yes, you'll get election news. I'm afraid... I saw Lauren Boebert jack off the Palestinian flag. We gotta do all the shit that's going on over here, and then we'll do election news. It dovetails well into the other stories I'm doing, but I'm just afraid you'll already go to bed. So my apologies for coming on at 8 o'clock Eastern time, prime time for my audience. But it's well past Warlord's bedtime. Welcome, Flash! I'm so happy to see you tonight. Welcome in. We've got a jam-packed show. Libertad, pub indeed. I might need to pack a new one. I think, yep. This was like, I might have ate and took a nap, and this was like the bong I was smoking on back then. I finished it off as I was putting the show together, so I need a fresh one here. UK ain't even a real country. I'm excited to do election results. We're not really going to have election results, I don't think. I don't think we're going to. The Tories are expected to lose big. That's one of the reasons why we want to cover this. I hate that for Rishi Sunak because he's sexy. There's something about Indian people. It's Indian guys, Indian women, Indian non-binary people. I'm into all of them. I'm into Indian food. Give me some curry. Give me some naan. Yum, 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 yum. Indian food is lit. As my friend's going to London, and I told her, well, I mean, London pretty much has all the United States chains. I think you're pretty much getting anything that you would be able to get here in terms of chain food. And you'll have, like, really good Indian food. That for sure. You won't always have to be eating beans on toast. I'm sorry. Warlord, you love beans on toast. He showed me this restaurant where apparently, like, they put beans on baked potatoes. That's a delicacy in Britain. Britain may have talent, but Britain does not have taste. If you guys missed it last night, I was on Echoplex. I'm pretty sure producer Dave nuked the VOD. Because I was problematic on there, too. Don't show me a picture of an AIDS patient from 1989. And they didn't even say his name. It just said AIDS patient. I'm not shitting you. Like, it's not my fault that they showed this. I had to go back and find it because I showed Warlord earlier. They just titled him AIDS patient. I'm not joking. Oh. You know what they call quarter pounder with cheese in the UK? Shelley, good evening. I'm dying. That was a great episode. I was so sad. We started watching it at like 4 o'clock in the morning my time, and I have been like, I was really happy to be on with Dave, so I'm smoking bong after bong, and then the media winch comes on. She lights up a joint, and I'm like, oh, let me grab the bong. And then she lights up another joint, and I'm like, well, I have to join you. So by the time we get to like 4:15, I'm barely holding my eyes open. I'm slurring my words when I'm speaking. But I had so much fun being on with Egoplex last night. Somebody shout out Egoplex in the chat. Somebody shout out Soup. I haven't had a chance to catch Soup on since I've been back on my normal account. The real me account. It's made me sad. Also, apparently there's this person on the internet or politics person on the internet or something, and I'm supposed to Monsieur Balls. Fuck yeah! I'm so glad to see you, my friend. Wait a minute, you unfollowed me? What the fuck? Now I'm upset. Anyway, here is your meme of the day. And I can't say no because of the implication. Dennis, are you going to hurt those women? Be honest, Balls, I never thought I'd be back either. I'd pretty much given up on it. But they let me apply one last time. Since we got Monsieur Balls, remember, around these parts we like to kick authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
If you don't like to kick authority in the balls, you deserve a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
We got a lot of shit to talk about tonight. News be doing a lot of shit. Just know that by the time we get to the end of the show, we're going to call Senator John Kennedy a sick fuck. And we're going to watch George Santos back in drag. Plus, apparently, they've got the freedom cock. They've got the mother's cock. There's now the dog cock. Why am I like this?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Is that what the Guitarra Ravache? Apparently, yes. If I remember correctly on the story, I didn't read the whole. Once again, I'm not a pre-watch Andy. I do believe you can hire George Santos on Cameo now. Are you gonna piss on my sandals? My God, that cat's gonna piss on my sandals, isn't he? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I gave him nip over there in that corner. He's probably over there just getting high. I don't even think my sandals are over there, but he is indeed getting high. I gave him nip over in that corner. Oh, wait a minute. I was telling you guys what we be doing tonight. Hey, do you remember like 2 months ago when a whistleblower against Boeing died under mysterious circumstances? Well, guess what? Another Boeing whistleblower has died under mysterious circumstances. You know what a vampire facial is? It sounds like so when a vampire comes, is it cum, or like is it blood, or like when a vampire gets off, what is ejaculated? Ejaculate. Vampire facials. A scuba captain is facing 10 years for the deaths of some scuba divers. A pizza delivery driver was shot 7 times for going into the wrong driveway. 4 teens died in a high-speed crash after state troopers used a pit maneuver. Another reason why pit maneuvers should be outlawed. Wisconsin police shot and killed an armed student. A cop accused of child rape has died after a high-speed chase. A cop killer has been found after a 10-day manhunt. I talk about a prosecutor who believes that she was targeted politically for being a progressive. A group in Georgia is marching on the governor's mansion, that's Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia, over his signing of an immigration bill. Meanwhile, in Arizona, their governor, Katie Hobbs, is signing the new abortion bill, which repeals the, 1816 law? Virtually outlawed abortion. We're going to talk about multiple Congress people who have decided they want no part of Congress. They're going to be leaving Washington, D.C. That's not the only people leaving their job. Ken Klippenstein, one of the best journalists there are, was on with I don't remember if it was Rising or if it was Breaking Points. I don't remember which show it was he was on. He was either on with Crystal and Sagar, or he was on with Brianna Joy Gray and Robbie Suave. One or the other, who knows? We'll find out when we get there. Plus a whole bunch of shit about these protests that continue to escalate across the country. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Welcome. Good evening. A little salami as a treat. They ejaculate blood in True Blood. I watched that show and I don't even remember it. Clinically, exactly. I barely remember fucking yesterday. I really don't. Did I do a show yesterday? I don't think so. I think I played video games. Yes, because somebody in the Discord. I think it was Warlord. When show. I'm not high enough for this shit. Sparkles has a theory that I was born from a pod every day, fresh. I have to relearn how to be a human every day. Reform memories. It's gonna take me to the aquarium one day. So here's the thing. I admit I'm aloof. I am very much in Justin world. I'm not very observant. And I don't remember things. The thing that went around with the apple, how you visualize an apple in your head. Like if I could show you guys, I wish I had that big, like I did it for like whatever social media I was on. Like, I see the apple vividly, and I see a whole bunch of other shit around the apple. There's bears and parties and party lights going. Like, that apple's at a goddamn disco with a whole bunch of shit going on, right? Like, I'm a creative person, and that's I ultimately really love the job that I do. But it's getting harder and harder when clients need creative work. And I'm so glad I have this new client. She runs a marketing firm, and she like does basic editing. So like she sends me her projects, and it's like everything is already laid out. It's just like done poorly. So I just go in and like boom, 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 boom. And I love that because I'm okay, like clients that need things from me that I've already created. Like I've got a template and I'm just plugging in their new video. I'm doing the transcription, like shit that's just rote memory. Like that I have no problem with. But if a client needs something from me that takes creative energy, I've only got so much of that to give. And I can't turn it on and turn it off at will. So that's a problem with the job that I do. A client wanting me to, just make a video from scratch. Like, I'm good at it. Holy shit, I might not be able to just sit down and do that one day, though. And I work a lot better under pressure. Like, when, I feel like I have to do something, so I wait to the last minute. It's horrible. Horrible for running your own business. I really need doing it for the money. That's the hard thing. Yeah, because I feel like I could sit here, some days I don't feel like doing shit for my own work, but like I feel like ultimately I could make myself if I was a true YouTuber and I was making money off of YouTube. I feel like I could sit here and edit videos all day for myself, and I could do it without an issue. But it's when it's some dry corporate bullshit. Oh my God. It's just impossible to make myself do it, and it gets me into trouble. Anyway, we got a fun show here tonight. I'm gonna get a little bit more high, and then I'm gonna start it off with this, and we're gonna end it with this. We're gonna do it twice tonight because this is probably gonna be a new drop. I almost made it for the show tonight. Because it cracked me up. I listened to it so many times yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I think this is when that occurred. So this is our favorite senator, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, who has given us so many good lines over the years.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Flash, I watched that. Did anybody watch the NYPD propaganda video that they released to them? Reclaiming the Hamilton Hall? I mean, like, they've already got top of the line. I could not bring myself. I don't speak to my mom anymore. Because she called me one day, and this would have been like 2019, probably 2018. And she was like, Lockheed Martin is hiring for a video editor. Why don't you go over there and get a job, huh? Because she's got that very boomer mindset of, you need to have a job that you're at for years, and you're working your way up in the corporate ladder, blah, blah, blah. And I was like taken aback. I was like, do you not realize that I would never ever work for I would work for Lockheed Martin maybe to go and do some industrial sabotage. That would be the only reason to do it. Like, I was offended that my mom has known me for this long and wasn't aware, and my bandana is crooked. It's really fucking, I pulled down the wrong side. that my mom wasn't aware that I would never in a million years work for Lockheed Martin. I was offended by it. Told her never to talk to me again. He hasn't. I've had to come to the conclusion that she's probably autistic, and like that. My grandfather, like he did small motors and shit, right? Had lunch every day at the same time. Wore the same outfit every day for fucking 50 years. Same kind of socks, same shoes. I mean, like everything had to be like that motherfucker was autistic. That shit's hereditary. Like, my mom doesn't understand, like, turns of phrases and shit. She doesn't get me because I'm always, making, double entendres and shit. Like, and I don't think she gets it. And that's why I've always wanted her to like me for, be proud of me for my work. And she never has been, right? She watched my stand-up and she was like, well, people laughed at it. Like, gee, thanks, Mom. My dad watched one of my movies and was like, how'd you come up with that? That was his response to it. So I've had no... I don't want to say I haven't had encouragement from my parents. Like, my mom put me in performing arts and theater and all that shit. But as for what I really wanted to do, there's been... I've taken the wrong... They might be right, legitimately. If I wanted to make money, I've taken the wrong career path every step of the way. Little weird robot, little alien. Maybe you might have to have a talk with your kid about being a sick fuck. Would you call your kid a sick fuck?
Yes, sir, and the witnesses.
Yes, sir.
May I please point out that this form
The
of...
senator's time has expired, and there are other senators waiting.
I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective advice,
I'm sure you
Doc.
do. You can put them into a question for the record, and
Yes,
they'll
I'd
have
like to
unresolved
submit
reply.
all of the good doctors' objective tweets and scientific analysis for the record.
That
Thank
will
you.
be done without objection. Senator Merkley,
May I clarify one final point?
proceed.
These are not my tweets. These are retweets. It's an important
Oh, you
contradiction.
often retweet stuff you don't support? Is that what you're telling me, Doc?
I did not say that I don't support this. I simply did not tweet it, which, as you were
But you
alleging.
retweeted
I'd
them,
like
didn't
to
you?
make very clear that this
But
form
you
of character
retweeted them,
assassination
didn't
is
you?
characteristic of the propaganda techniques
You
of fossil fuel
you
interest.
retweeted
Senator
it,
Merkley.
didn't you?
Thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
It's Senator Merkley's time.
May I
Dallas.
please see the document?
Yes, sir, and the witnesses' documents there.
May I please
And the
point out that
senator's
this form
the
of...
senator's time has expired, and there are other senators waiting.
I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective.
Are you gonna call me a sick fuck? Maybe your newest drop. I'm thinking about having him pop out from behind my camera over the chat. You gonna call me a sick fuck?
Advice,
I'm sure you
Doc.
do. You can put them into a question for the record, and
Yes,
they'll
I'd
have
like to
unresolved
submit
reply.
all of the good doctors' objective tweets and scientific analysis for the record.
That
Thank
will
you.
be done without objection. Senator Merkley,
May I clarify one final point?
proceed.
These are not my tweets. These are retweets. It's an important
Oh, you
contradiction.
often retweet stuff you don't support? Is that what you're telling me, Doc?
I did not say that I don't support this. I simply did not tweet it, which, as you were
But you
alleging.
retweeted them,
I'd like
didn't
to
you?
make very clear that this
But
form
you
of character
retweeted them,
assassination
didn't
is
you?
characteristic of the propaganda techniques
You
of fossil fuel
you
interest.
retweeted
Senator
it,
Merkley.
didn't you?
Thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
It's Senator Merkley's time.
He's got a king. He's got a humiliation king. That's why he wants to get called a sick fuck. You are indeed a sick fuck, Senator Kennedy.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Just wanted to start with that. We're gonna start the show off with that. I've also got it as the ending bit of the show. No, for real, for real. Starting it off tonight, let's go to President Joe Biden, who broke his silence, but the spat of protests popping up, or spat is not the right word. The increasing number of encampments popping up across the country.
A few moments about what's going on our college campuses here. We've all seen the images, and they put to the test two fundamental American principles. Excuse me. The first is the right to free speech and for people to peacefully assemble and make their voices heard. The second is the rule of law. Both must be upheld. We are not an authoritarian nation where we silence people or squash dissent.
Doubt.
The American people are heard. In fact, peaceful protest is in the best tradition of how Americans respond to consequential issues. But
Well, thank you, CNN. We are not an authoritarian state. We are not a police state. Repeat after me. CNN puts up the video proving otherwise right next to him.
But neither are we a lawless country. We are a civil society, and order must prevail. Throughout our history, we've often faced moments like this because we are a big, diverse, free-thinking, and freedom-loving nation. In moments like this, there are always those who rush in to score political points. But this isn't a moment for politics. It's a moment for clarity. So let me be clear. Peaceful protest in America. Violent protest is not protected. Peaceful protest is. It's against the law when violence occurs.
Well, hey, Biden, show me protests that were violent that, weren't initiated by the cops, or the Zionists coming and attacking the pro-Palestinian side, which we'll see in just a little bit.
Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Dissent is essential to democracy, but dissent must never lead to disorder or to denying the rights of others so students can finish the semester and their college education. Look, it's basically a matter of fairness. It's a matter of what's right. There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos. People have the right to get an education, the right to get a degree, the right to walk across the campus safely without fear of being attacked. But let's be clear about this as well. There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students. There is no place for hate speech or violence of any kind, whether it's anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or discrimination against Arab Americans or Palestinian Americans. It's simply wrong. There's no place for racism in America. It's all wrong. It's un-American. I understand people have strong feelings and deep convictions. In America, we respect the right and protect the right for them to express that. But it doesn't mean anything goes. It needs to be done without violence, without destruction, without hate, and within the law. Make no mistake. As president, I will always defend free speech. And I will always be just as strong in standing up for the rule of law. That's my responsibility to you, the American people, and my obligation to the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, have the protests forced you to reconsider any of the policies with regard to the region?
No. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you think the National Guard should intervene?
No.
Mr.
Do
President,
you agree with what the students are calling for?
Mr. President, the former president said.
All right, President.
If the National Guard were to intervene, it would be, to me, on behalf of the students, to protect them from the local police. But hey, that's just me. Unfortunately, you're going to get a taste of what might have been. I feel like we need to hear from a Jewish man on this issue. One Senator Bernie Sanders feels that this may be Joe Biden's Vietnam. It could be an apt comparison.
Joined by Senator Bernie Sanders. Senator, welcome back to the program. You have been very vocal for a long time on the war, on American policy, and now on these protests and the crackdown. But first, I want to ask you, do you believe President Biden got it just right, or what would you say in his first comments about these protests?
Well, he's exactly right, is that we don't want protests that are violent, and we absolutely will not tolerate anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, or any form of bigotry. Of course, he's right on that. But I think, Christian, it is important to understand why these protesters are out there. And they are out there not because they are pro-Hamas. They are out there because they are outraged by what the Israeli government is now doing in Gaza, which is bringing unbelievable harm, not just to the terrorist organization Hamas, but to the entire Palestinian people. And that's why these anti-war demonstrators are out there. They do not want to see a situation continue where 110,000 Palestinians out of 5% of the population have been killed or wounded, where children now face starvation. Hundreds of thousands of children face starvation because Israel is refusing to allow humanitarian aid to get to where it has to go, where 2/3 of the homes in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged, where the entire civilian infrastructure, water, electricity has been annihilated, where educational systems, every university in Gaza has been bombed. So I think it's important to understand why these young people are out there, and they are out there for the right reasons, to protest U.S. continued military aid and money to a right-wing extremist Netanyahu government, which is in a destructive war against the Palestinian people.
Senator, the last time we had you on the program was a few weeks ago when there was an effort, maybe it was successful, I don't remember, to try to tie American military aid to certain respecting of international humanitarian law, the rules of war, etc. In the interim, the United States has passed a law which provides more military aid to Israel along with Ukraine and etc. And I remember you telling me not one penny of our money should they get, the Israelis, until they agree to the rules of the game. What happened?
Well, what happened is, number one, I was unable to even offer an amendment to the effect that the United States should not provide more money for offensive weapons to Israel. I couldn't even get that amendment on the floor.
You're the budget chairman.
Very strong vote. Republicans and Democrats voted to continue funding Netanyahu's war machine. And what is ironic...
God damn, he's saying he couldn't even get an amendment in. He is the budget committee chairman. That is what?
Ironic to me, we talk about protesters at Columbia or UCLA. Understand, it's not just protesters. A strong majority of the American people do not want to see more U.S. taxpayer dollars going to Netanyahu's destruction of the Palestinian people. We all understand Hamas is a terrorist organization that started the war. In my view, Israel has the right to go to war against Hamas. They do not have a right to go to war in the way they are against the Palestinian people. And most Americans now feel the same way.
Do you feel, Senator, that, and we talked last time about leverage, obviously America has massive leverage because of its very strong, full-throated, shoulder-to-shoulder, all those words, alliance with Israel and all the billions of dollars that it sends. But do you think the students are reacting to the fact that...
The Leahy Amendment that flashes, I almost call Thompson, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson. The Leahy Amendment that Flash is referring to. What the condition is like? Is it war crimes? What that they put on it that we're not supposed to fund weapons of war to countries that are. There's like a list of conditions, I believe. One of them is war crimes or humanitarian crisis, blah blah blah, something like that. So like we are in violation of U.S. law funding Israel, but the administration currently trying to block the international court from entering from issuing arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Hamas leaders, which totally cool. Do it. Do both. Why not both? Good. I like justice. The U.S. is apparently not in favor of that. The U.S. is blocking. The State Department has blocked a recommendation to sanction several units of the IDF for committing war crimes. It's insane the lengths that this government is going to protect. Which, I mean, ultimately, Israel's kind of a extension of us. It's kind of like a military outpost of the U.S. And we have the weird relationship where, like, it is the secular Jewish people that live in Israel, like the U.S. Christian fanatics, because of all the tourism money it brings and shit. It brings prosperity to them. And then, like, the Zionists in this country are predominantly Christians that are doing it because they think it makes Jeebus comes back. Like, it's such a weird alliance and such strange bedfellows that I can understand why it's this political quagmire. And fucking the Israel lobby has far too much money. And you can't call that anti-Semitic. No foreign country should be interfering in our local elections. They go down like the state races. Why? How we let a foreign country come in and dump as much money as they do into, like, not just like a national election, our local elections? It's absurd. Disgusting. Sorry, rant over.
Their government does not seem to be using any leverage.
Yes, of course they are. Look, it is one thing if a terrible tragedy or a terrible war takes place in some part of the world where the United States really has no involvement. That is not the case in Gaza. The United States of America has historically and is right now, the legislation that you talked about, we're talking about over $19 billion more dollars going to Israel, including $10 billion in unfettered military aid. So, of course, the United States government has the right to say to Netanyahu, guess what? You're not getting another nickel unless you let humanitarian aid go in, unless you stop the imminent famine, which we are seeing, unless we move toward a two-state solution. When you are paying the bills, you call the tunes. Has the United States government done that? No, it has not. And I think students and the American people understand that that is very wrong.
You gave a speech on the Senate floor last night, and I posted it, and it was essentially a really important lesson on history, on protest, and the anti-Semitism that you've just been talking about, what constitutes it and what doesn't. Tell me, in your view, where do these protests fit in the history of American student protests?
Look, I must tell you that as a young man, I was involved in civil rights demonstration. I was arrested in taking over the administration office at the University of Chicago because there was racism and segregation going on at that time. The truth of the matter is, if there had not been protests and sit-ins and demonstrations, we would not have made the progress we have made in this country in combating racism and ending the apartheid form of government that existed in many parts of the country. If there had not been millions of people, mostly women, coming out into the streets and saying that they are sick and tired of being second-class citizens, they want a right to control their own bodies, we would not have made progress in the struggle for women's rights. If we had not had demonstrations saying that we've got to end homophobia in America, would not have made the progress we have made. Demonstrations is what, and the right to dissent, the right to protest, That is what the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States is all about. That's what, in fact, makes you a free country.
What the hokey pokey is all about.
Means that somebody goes out and demonstrates, you don't have to agree with them, they have the right. That's the difference between autocracy and dictatorship in a free country.
I want to play for you because this definition, where does the line get crossed between anti-Semitism and criticizing a government policy? On this program last night, our colleagues at PBS talked to Kenneth Stern. He was the person
Kenny boy.
who led the drafting of the bill that would codify this definition for the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. It is the definition that stands to this day, and this is what he said.
I jealously guarded the term anti-Semitism. To have a sting, it has to be used only in the clearest cases. So I'd always default to not. Now there's a push to make it almost ubiquitous. And when everything becomes anti-Semitic, nothing is anti-Semitic. And that makes it harder to fight anti-Semitism.
Exactly.
What do you think of that, given the fact that it's been really politicized and all sorts of bills and new laws and things are passing through Congress and the Republicans are using it a lot?
Well, all I would say is anti-Semitism is a vile and disgusting ideology, which, as everybody knows,
I condemn anti-Semitism.
Has led to the deaths of many, many, many millions of people. We got to fight anti-Semitism in every way that we can. But for anybody to suggest that we cannot be critical of the government of Israel or the government of Italy or the government of Ireland,
respect,
is not what democracy is about.
Welcome in, my friend.
I happen to believe, not everybody agrees with me, that the war policies of the Netanyahu government are a disaster. They are causing unprecedented harm. They are in violation of...
Oh, I got them all day, my friend.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I love that one. We've still got Senator Kennedy yet to come tonight.
International law.
Yet to come. Ow!
And absolutely in violation of American law, by the way. But I think people who are critical, the idea that people who are critical of what Netanyahu is doing are anti-Semitic, that is nonsense.
Look at that fucker.
That is a very, very dangerous line to cross in terms of freedom of expression in this country.
And for our generation who grew up in the era of never again and are very, very committed to that.
I hate him, and it has nothing to do with him being Jewish. I probably would hate him a lot more if he wasn't Jewish. Like, the Jewishness kind of takes the edge off, because I like a Jewy guy. God, why am I like this?
I think it's really tough when we see this word weaponized and maybe lose its sting and its importance, as Kenneth Stern warns. So I want to ask you, my question to you is, what do you think now is going to happen to Biden and his campaign? Where do you think all of this is going to lead? Because it's also about American foreign policy.
Well, in terms of his campaign, I am thinking back, and other people are making this reference, that this may be Biden's Vietnam. Lyndon Johnson, in many respects, was a very, very good president. Domestically, brought forth some major pieces of legislation. He chose not to run.
Absolutely not hating on Bernie.
Of opposition to his views on Vietnam. And I worry very much that President Biden is putting himself in a position where he has alienated not just young people, but a lot of the Democratic base in terms of his views on Israel and this war.
He is correct.
I would hope very much that from certainly a policy point of view, from a moral point of view, the president stops giving a blank check to Netanyahu. And I would hope that they understand that from a political point of view, this has not been helpful. Quite the contrary.
Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you for joining us.
I had somebody ask me the other day, doesn't Biden, doesn't he want to do what's in his best interest politically? And I'm like, he came up in a time where doing something pro-Israel was always good politically. Like, this is like the first ever backlash against Israel in its, 60-year history, 65, something like that. Let's move to the protests. We're going to the campus of UCLA, where the police have been criticized for their delayed response to... You're hearing everybody talk about, Jewish students, and not only... It's weird that the Jewish students are being used as this, weapon. Because, there's Jewish students part of the protest. A lot of the pro-Israel or Zionist side is actually Christian and not necessarily Jewish. But I'm sure there's Jewish people that are pro-Israel. There are definitely Zionist Jews. But, it's wild the way the media has used them. And it's so weird to see it in real time, this blatant. But the police stood by as pro-Palestinian protesters were attacked by the so-called outside agitators that they keep warning about are going to be involved in the encampments. Oh, God, they cracked him in the head. So they threw fireworks at the protesters.
As they have been doing for the last couple of days. To disrupt the encampment, they fired off fireworks towards the
Flash!
encampment. There's been tear gas used on site. Campus has requested a police presence from across the city. The encampment is organized by Students for Justice in Palestine. They've largely been protesting peacefully, but pretty much from the first evening they were there. Overnight, they've been harassed by increasingly large groups of counter-protesters. We're aware that it's over 100 this evening.
They're spraying them with something.
They've become increasingly violent.
They're whacking them with sticks and pipes. Where is the outrage against this? Oh my God!
Counter-protesters showed up, as they have been doing for the last couple of days, to disrupt the encampment.
Almost, we're getting there, Warlord. Other side of the commercial break.
On site, campus has requested a police presence from across the city. The encampment is organized by Students for Justice in Palestine. They've largely been protesting peacefully, but pretty much from the first evening they were there. Overnight, they've been harassed by increasingly large groups of counter-protesters. We're aware that it's over 100 this evening.
There's the bear maze.
In recent evenings, it's also become increasingly violent.
This is just insane. And the cops stood by and let this happen. That was 2 nights ago. That happened after we got off stream. I came on, I believe it was the night of Columbia, where I came on and they breached the Hamilton Hall. California, 3 hours later than us. Shit went down after we got off stream, and the protesters were attacked. Last night, the police attacked the
Breaking news, chaos overnight on UCLA's campus as police move in to clear out pro-Palestinian protesters there. With that, welcome to Good Day LA at 8. I'm Jen Lammers.
I'm Melvin Robert. We're going to get right to our breaking story this morning. We've been following this since the wee hours of the morning. Police clearing out the pro-Palestinian encampment on the campus at UCLA. Gigi Graciette leads us off this morning. Gigi, what's it looking like now? A lot calmer.
Well, Melvin, interestingly enough, we interviewed a young lady. She said she's a UCLA senior, and as she was being arrested, taken away, and she told us the encampment may have been taken down, but this was certainly not over. And proof of that is, take a look behind me. What we're starting to see is that people that were part of this encampment have begun returning. Now, the first thing they did was put up the Palestinian flag, which is blowing in the wind right there. Now, they're going around, a lot of them looking for their personal belongings. We see one man, he's getting all those helmets that we saw protesters wearing earlier. He's put them in a pile in another place. Some other young men were here. They found their sleeping bag. They took their personal belongings. But the first thing they yelled when they came back is, "This is not over." And it appears to not be over. Now, let's show you what the situation.
They have cleared out the encampment as of this afternoon, actually. But I'm sure it's still not over. Let's hear from... I'm trying to rush because we're up against the commercial break. Let's hear from a couple of the protesters after they were released from custody after being arrested last night.
100 protesters who were arrested this morning at UCLA are now being processed at...
Dude looks like Doug Burgum.
Some are talking about what happened overnight as they are being released.
Sid Garcia picks up...
It is Doug Burgum, isn't it?
Town. Sid.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The last of the protesters who were at UCLA were brought here to be processed, cited, and released. Now take a look at the video we shot earlier today. After they were put on a sheriff's bus at UCLA, they were brought here to the Men's Central Jail to be processed, cited, and released. Now attorneys are here helping to explain what's next for them legally, but most of them are going to be looking at simply misdemeanors. Many were told by organizers not to talk to the media, but those who did talk to us had a chance to share with us what they had to go through or went through early this morning. Just take a listen.
It was pretty intense. There was a lot of moments where we basically stood in line to line parallel to the officers, and they would just kind of try to push us back. We just had to hold our ground and chant and keep morale up.
We've been trying our best to stay peaceful as an encampment, but at the end of the day, we knew that the cops would have this type of response, that the school would have this type of response. We're not done. We're not done. We're not going to leave this at that. We're not going to let people forget what happened, what's happening currently in Gaza.
So what's next? Some of the kids we talked to weren't sure, but some of them were indicating that there could be another encampment popping up on campus. They don't know, though, if that, in fact, is going to happen.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
What up, Mark Brown? Why do I tell everybody else to shut up, but I'm all like lovey-dovey with Mark Brown over here? He's kind of a zaddy. Maybe that's it. I mentioned the raid on Hamilton Hall where they arrested like 100 to 300. I don't even remember now. They arrested a bunch of students. Took them out on buses. We watched it live the other night. We now have body camera footage. As I've said many times, when the cops think the body camera footage looks good, makes them look good, they release it immediately.
College campuses here in New York and around the country. New video tonight from
That's my content warning.
University's Hamilton Hall as cops reclaim the building from occupying protesters.
Sorry.
Here in New York and around the country. New video tonight from inside Columbia University's Hamilton Hall as cops reclaim the building from occupying protesters. And not wasting any time today, cops in riot gear moved in to clear an encampment at Fordham's Lincoln Center campus. Eyewitness News reporter Jim Dolan and Sonia Rincon covering all angles tonight. With Jim Dolan and that new video from Columbia. Jim?
Police trying to retake control of Hamilton Hall on the campus of Columbia University.
Alex Jones.
There were traps at every turn.
They turned the freaking frogs gay.
They deployed plenty of them. They used power saws to cut through chains protesters had used to keep them out. And battering rams to break into rooms that were locked. One room at a time. Police took control, and in all that madness, safely arrested the pro-Palestine demonstrators who had seized the building the day before.
They tried to lock us out, but the NYPD and the
Jane
of New York will never be locked out, and we will always work together to keep our city safe.
About 300 people were arrested at Columbia and CUNY combined, and the mayor says not all of them are students.
About 100
people that we have been watching in organizations that are not part of the campus. We've been very clear. There are individuals and organizations that are not.
They're usually students from other campuses. About half of the people arrested weren't students at the campus they were arrested at, but the students have been coming over from other campuses and standing together. So that's what they're talking about.
Students, we're seeing a shift in tactics.
No one was injured in the NYPD's action.
The efforts by the NYPD were thorough, professional, and they exercised a degree of calm in a very tense situation that should be commended.
Still, some criticized it anyway.
They escalated at every single point of the way, intending for this to be the result.
They are attempting to disrupt our city, and we are not going to permit it to happen.
This is the New York City Police Department.
Today, a much smaller encampment at Fordham's Upper West Side campus was cleared as well by the NYPD, and a handful of protesters there were arrested without incident.
Fuck them bootlickers.
Campuses across New York City will be arraigned here at 100 Center Street. That's the same building former President Donald Trump is on trial right now. The charges for the students range from trespassing to criminal mischief. In Lower Manhattan, Jim Dolan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Channel 7 Eyewitness News. Yeah, I thought he sounded like Alex Jones while he was reading the news report. We can watch a little bit of this. This was yesterday was May Day. Workers rallied in NYC and also called for solidarity with Palestine.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. We end today's show on yesterday's May Day activities in New York. Thousands of students, workers, and others rallied and...
Oh my God, the your guy. I've photoshopped myself into all kinds of different shit with Michael Malice. We've went back and forth so many different times. You and me both, Flash. That motherfucker has thin skin.
Bully Square in Lower Manhattan to mark May Day.
Jamil Medbek. In this current moment, after 7 months of Zionist aggression against Gaza, is to underscore that there is a popular movement in support of Palestine. Not just the students that are mobilizing, but also organized labor across the United States. That's really important. After the mass arrests yesterday, we saw faculty at CUNY announce a sick out for today. We saw NYU faculty announce a grade strike, and we've seen other actions being taken in support of the students. We know the United States manufactures bombs that are being dropped on the people in Gaza, the Palestinians, and the Arab population more broadly. And in that sense, having an organized labor movement that is willing to advocate for the Palestinian struggle, to chip away at the strength of Western imperialism more broadly, is essential. And for the Palestinians, the inverse is true. Like, it is our mandate to be part of a broader left in this country, to help to struggle for worker rights here, understanding that a stronger labor movement means less of an ability to enact this destructive foreign policy.
Okay, if you're watching on Twitch, you're going to have to get a commercial break. We play them all at once, so we get them out of the way. Nobody misses any content. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to do Sinadorito. I probably fucked that up. I'm going to call you Sin. What's up, my friend? Sin, my friend. Warlord laughs in turbo. You're gonna get on the other side of the break. We're gonna talk about the British elections just for Warlord. We're gonna talk about congressmen that are going to be leaving because it ain't no fun anymore. We got all kinds of crime stories. We're gonna talk about fucking. We got a couple of different manhunts. We got a cop accused of child rape. Police killing a would-be school shooter. We got all kinds of shit. Vampire facials. I've been asking everybody about vampire facials. We're gonna find out what a vampire facial is. Do they come blood? It's possible.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Watching on Twitch, 3 minutes of ads, and you're gonna come back, and then you get the whole show uninterrupted. Be here when you come back. If you're on YouTube, I'm gonna try to hit an ad for you guys too and get it out of the way here as well. Tells me to try again. I don't know if it worked. If you're on YouTube, can you tell me, did you get an ad? Which you weren't hearing me if you got an ad. That kind of doesn't work. I think if I run them like that, they only get them on the desktop or something. I don't know. Let's get high. Sin, do you get high? Like to smoke a little weed. By the way, I'm JustinFREAKIN. We find out what that news be doing. There is an ad break on YouTube. Is that what you're telling me, Warlord? Let's get a little high then. I'm going to pack a bong here. I am not high enough for this shit. If you might be wondering what my political views are, it's 1992. An old head. Welcome, welcome. Clinically with the sub. Hell yeah. Says you've been sub for 9 months. Keeps the streak going. That is not consecutive months, however. We've been gone for about a year. I'm a monarchist? What are you talking about? Who said I'm a monarchist? I would assume I'm the opposite of a monarchist. I would want to kick the king and or the queen in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
That's what we like to do. We're not that seems like the ultimate form of bootlicking. I don't want any kind of royalty. I could never bow down to a king or a queen. It seems wild. Concept I just couldn't get with. Except if you gave me healthcare. If you gave me healthcare, then we can talk. Once again, give me that sweet NHS, and then you guys can colonize us again. I need to get some work done, Warlord. I'm 40, man. I need a colonoscopy. Probably should get what's the other thing you need to get? Prostate exam. You need to get a colonoscopy. You need to get a prostate exam. I need to have people play with my butt, my balls, motherfucker. Soup, good night. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm joking. I'm joking. However, if you are a prostate having person, you need to have your prostate examined when you're around 40 years old. This is good medical advice. What'd I say? That you need to have your prostate examined? Oh, Libertad, let me tell you. You might have been here. I might have told this story. I'm one of those people. I don't know if I'm weird. Maybe I'm one of the only people that does this. I lay down in the bathtub and I wake up with the water here, blah, blah, blah. And then I get up and I shower off. I gotta lay down and Maynard gets in the shower with me. It's a whole thing. I was getting up the other day and I fell down. I slipped and fell back down and it hurt. It hurt really bad. I'm like, this is how old people break a hip. Getting old. Getting too old for this shit. Like the Tories over in Britain, across the pond. Just for you, Warlord. Live, updated 13 minutes ago. What time is it there, local time? It's after midnight. It's like 1. Am I right? It's 1 o'clock, right? Local elections results, 2024. Count underway for mayoral and council contest as Tory losses are predicted. As the first results started coming in, Nigel Farage's Reform UK looks like a major threat to the Conservatives' fortunes. Rishi Sunak is braced for heavy losses in the local elections as rebel Tories plot to oust him if key mayoral contests are lost in what has been described as a potential Armageddon weekend for the Prime Minister. Ahead of the first results coming in overnight, a bombshell new poll found the Tories are now even less popular under Mr. Sunak than during the calamitous premiership of Liz Truss. Is that true, Warlord? That slick talking, good looking motherfucker. It's 2 a.m. there. Okay. My bad. I was close. I have London time on my phone because I have clients in London and I have clients in Australia. So I have Sydney and London time on my phone so I can tell them when I can have things based on their time. And it sucks because I cannot do math. Holy shit.
You take your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning.
Ahead of the first results coming in overnight, a bombshell new poll found the Tories are even less popular under Mr. Sunak during the calamitous premiership of Liz Truss. Early indications from Sunderland pointed to a strong performance for Nigel Farage's Reform UK, with the right-wing Challenger Party beating the Tories in a slew of seats up for grabs. The results will heighten the nerves of Conservative MPs as 2 days of counting begins. One Tory MP told The Independent a move against Mr. Sunak is likely if either West Midlands Mayor Andy Street or Test Valley Mayor Ben Houchen lose their jobs. I'm on The Independent. I don't know what you're talking about. This was updated 15 minutes ago. Do we even have, oh, here we go. Labour holds Sunderland Council, Reform UK outperforming the Tories. Voting finishes in council and mayoral elections. Tories could possibly lose half of their seats. So yeah, we don't have any hard results yet. But looking bad for the government in power. Sorry about that, Warlord. I know you like those conservatives. Over here in the U.S., it's Not even going to be an election. BBC has hard. Why doesn't the Independent have hard results? What? I guess probably because I'm looking at it in America. It's not even the fucking top headline. I just went to BBC.com. I really fucked that spelling up. I don't know what any of this means, though. That's the problem. It's like me looking at a soccer game. Numbers good. See, I can tell you Labour holds Ipswich, but I don't know what the fuck that means. Counts are underway after local elections in England and Wales and a by-election for the Westminster seat of Blackpool South. More than 2,600 seats will be decided in more than 100 councils. Mox, good evening. No, UK is fake. No councils have yet changed hands under a flurry of early results. Transport Secretary Mark Harper has acknowledged it would be difficult for the Conservatives to match their performance in 2021. The elections are considered the last test of voters' opinions before the next general election, which is expected later this year. That's the election that I'll actually care about because I'll kind of know what's going on. I don't even know what an Ipswich is. Click. Apparently, Labour is expected to win big in Blackpool South, but hasn't it always been a Labour stronghold? Because that's the working man's town. Well, let's fucking find out, Warlord. That's what we're here to do on this show. We learn. Apparently, we have Ipswich IT management software. That's what we got in America. Ipswich Inc. It's an IT management software. USA. Founded out of an apartment without any venture capital funding or bank financing. That was 1991. Those weren't as common back then. Let's talk about politicians losing their jobs. That's what we were talking about with the Tories. Let's talk about some politicians who are willingly leaving their jobs. These 12 lawmakers are quitting Congress.
Okay.
Or have quit Congress.
This year is my 58th consecutive year as an elected official.
I never.
You should have left a long time ago.
Just a few years. Now we're going on 28 years.
I knew it was time to leave about 3 weeks after I got to Congress. It just took me a long time to try to figure out how to get out of this place.
I think one of the most frustrating things was, to me, the best part of this job.
So that's the big question everyone wants to know the answer to is, how do you, quote, fix Congress?
More democracy.
To describe Congress.
Get money out of politics. It's easy.
Chaotic.
Chaotic. It's just very challenging.
Difficult. Last year, when the Republicans took over the House of Representatives, they passed 27 bills, which made us the most unproductive Congress in any given year in the United States history.
Dysfunctional.
Tense.
Dysfunctional. Probably a very popular word that you're hearing.
Misunderstood. The misunderstanding is that people are purposefully trying to not accomplish goals.
Okay, I do not like Ken Buck in a lot of ways, but I can respect that motherfucker. Because I feel like he's sincere in his beliefs, and like he really takes no shit, and he was disgusted by what he saw in Congress. And like this is one of like the most hardcore Freedom Cock members. But once I think that we could work with them on several issues. The Freedom Cock and progressives should be able to get together on certain things. There is some overlap.
On behalf of the American people, that's just not true.
Potential. The institution right now is punching below its weight.
Challenging. Broken. No, I don't see the corruption.
Congress is absolutely not corrupt.
Both Democrats and Republicans, by and large, they're just trying to do what we believe we need to do for our districts and for our constituents.
Oh, you're going to bullshit us then.
Parts of our system that are corrupting to the general atmosphere.
There is undue influence for special interests, absolutely.
Some people do tend to favor large business and special interests.
Big corporations and special interests.
Tsunami of money that comes in from special interest groups.
And that is a form of corruption, there's no question.
I think there's too much money in our political system.
I was told at the beginning that I had to raise $250,000 if I wanted to be on certain committees. And if I wanted to be on more important committees or committees with broader jurisdiction, I needed to raise even more money. Buying a committee seat is not something that most Americans know that members of Congress have to do.
The number of times over the course of the 11 plus years that I've heard one of my colleagues say, you know, I agree with you on that, but I could never vote that way because of my fear of a primary, is concerning.
Citizens United was a horrible decision by the Supreme Court that held corporations had the rights as individuals to make contributions in our campaign. It led to the floodgates of a lot of special interest dollars coming into campaigns without really knowing who was contributing those dollars.
I have been a big supporter of campaign finance reform.
We need campaign finance reform.
Change the way campaigns are funded in America, and definitely by demanding disclosure of this dark money.
You know, I'd have to go through a laundry list of a few hundred.
There are frustrations every day.
We were at a budget standoff over the debt ceiling, and Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden negotiated a budget agreement. Then Speaker McCarthy walked away from that agreement. I've had lots of disagreements with people, but the thing that's most frustrating now is that the environment seems to give permission for people to come to an understanding, to shake hands, and then erase all memory of that deal when it becomes convenient to do so.
What frustrates me is that members tend to say something, make a statement, make a speech that maybe could go viral or get picked up, instead of thinking, well, what's the best conversation I can...
Like Senator Kennedy?
One of the most frustrating experiences for me was the antitrust legislation concerning big tech. They have so much money and so much influence on the Hill that we just can't move forward on those issues.
I think the most frustrating thing is when you have 300 co-sponsors to a bill and you still can't get that across the finish line.
I think one of the most frustrating things was when the Republicans were not able to choose a speaker.
And then the frustration of being in the House and being told all the time, this is how you need to vote. The part of me that wanted to stick around because I believed we could get more things done died.
To me, the best part of this job is the fact of who you get to be with every day.
You know, you get to go on some congressional trips when you're sitting across from the Prime Minister of Japan. That's pretty cool.
We get to see demonstrations of technology at laboratories.
You're talking to experts who are shaping the future, and you get to talk to 4 or 5 of them in a single day.
The House gym.
The House gym.
The House gym is great.
I wish I took more advantage of that.
Now, it's only about a C+ YMCA, but it is...
Venus, good evening.
Away from your office.
The first time I went to the White House and met the President of the United States, I was really over the moon.
Well, it's pretty cool to go to the White House Christmas party and meet the President, you know. I've got pictures now with 3 presidents, President Obama, President Trump, and just recently President Biden.
I think there are a lot of perks that I am really irritated by and I shun. I don't want people calling me congressman. I don't want people holding the door for me.
The most...
See, that's why I like Ken Buck.
...job as a United States congressman is every time...
At least respect him a little.
...driving up to the Capitol and I see that beautiful...
I wouldn't piss in his eye pussy.
Capitol gleaming in the sun. It is like to die for.
And every day I sort of pinch myself and say, I'm here, I'm doing this.
I love the history of the Capitol building and I like giving tours. There's a Ronald Reagan statue. In one layer of that statue is pieces of the Berlin Wall. And so I have people rub their finger around that.
The coolest thing about this job is that I had the same job as John Lewis. And when John was dying, he picked me. Little Dan Kildee from West Genesee Street in Flint,
Little
Michigan,
Dan Kildee
cast his vote for him. That's not a perk. That's a privilege. And if it were just for the fact that I'll go for the rest of my life having become a friend of and a partner to John Lewis, it will have been worth all the stuff that we have to deal with here. Didn't want to use a more colorful word.
Shit.
But I could have.
Most definitely.
For sure.
I really feel like I was able to make a difference.
66 bills.
Hundreds of amendments.
A couple $100 million from the water crisis in Flint.
Dealing with transportation, land use.
On national defense.
On healthcare issues.
I was the first woman to chair the health subcommittee.
Solve the surprise medical billing problem.
Expanding rural broadband.
Permit the Smithsonian to build a Latino museum.
Help write a bipartisan infrastructure bill that has the biggest investment ever in climate provisions.
Managed to bring mental health into the light.
I was responsible for passage of cancer screening coverage under Medicare.
She's not still alive.
I carried for 8 and 10 years before they came to fruition.
These are things that have had a profound effect.
It really appears to the public that all we do is fight, when the reality is on 98% of the issues, there's great bipartisanship and people work together well and come up with good answers.
So I really reject the notion that you can't get things done.
I didn't take this job for the pay.
You know, I don't think we pay our congressmen enough.
Look, the average...
Okay, I think most of them are absolutely full of shit. Some of them made a few good points, but most of them are absolutely full of shit. If there is 98% bipartisan support, then how the fuck are you guys not passing shit? That can't possibly be true. I know the media amplifies the disagreements and everything, but no, that can't possibly be true.
Average income in my district is $55,000 a year. A congressman makes $174,000 a year.
If I go back to my district, where the average salary in some places is $32,000, and I say I don't make enough when I make $174,000, they would go ballistic. I'd be out of office in a heartbeat. And yet, trying to maintain 2 places to live, have clothes in 2 places, have a car in 2 places, it's very difficult.
I'm sure.
To Congress, I realized, holy smokes, that comes out of my pocket without reimbursement.
And you're not allowed to write off any of the expenses.
I've had a roommate every time I've rented an apartment. Upwards of 100 Congress members actually sleep in their office because it's expensive.
Washington's expensive.
All of us ought to be concerned about the future in terms of who can afford to do this.
Do you want it to still be the House of the People, or do you want it to be only wealthy people? I think that it's important to have cost of living.
Paying you fuckers more isn't the answer.
Adjustment.
I think it should at least keep up with inflation.
It should probably go up with the cost of living.
Congress works better when you have a broad swath of the American people being able to run and get elected. I really believe that.
I worry about the future of our democracy.
Are we going to protect our democracy?
The state of our democracy.
You know, I saw it pretty up close and personally on the 6th of January, how fragile it is.
A lot of the concerns I have now are about the geopolitical...
Congressional dorm sounds good. And a lot of them might agree.
What worries me most is I'm not giving my grandkids the same country that my parents gave me. Social Security will be bankrupt within a few years. Medicare the same way. We can't sustain $34 trillion.
Doesn't have to be.
Debt. Right now, the incentive is to spend all the money that we don't have and put the burden on our grandchildren because I get to go back to my district and tell people in my district, I got that bridge for you. We improved this interstate highway. We have no spending discipline. Very simple solution. You need to change the incentive structure. For example, members of Congress don't get a salary unless they balance the budget, or they don't get to run for re-election unless they have reduced the amount of spending. Responsible government is the best way to move forward.
It's not reducing the amount of spending, it's balancing the budget.
Too is how do you, quote, fix Congress
Well, it's the American people that have to fix the Congress.
Well, I think the American people are going to have to fix it.
You'd have to change culture. You have to fix it at the root.
In the 1970s, 80s, members of Congress stated...
That's what you're elected to do, you stupid...
To Washington. And they would live there, their kids would go to school.
And their families got to know each other, and they got to know each other on a social basis.
Folks didn't jump on an airplane on a Thursday afternoon and head for home.
And so there was less divisiveness, there was less hate. Now, getting back to the district is essential. So I can see why it's shifted, but the shift has caused some of the dysfunction in Congress. I think what we have to do is, and I actually work with Derek Kilmer, who is also leaving.
One of my very close friends who's also leaving Congress, Derek Kilmer, came up with some really thoughtful structural system changes.
When I became a member of Congress, I was conscious of the fact that I was joining an organization that, according to recent polling, is less popular than head lice, colonoscopies, and the rock band Nickelback. And so a lot of the time that I've spent here has been trying to figure out, what do you do? And Speaker Pelosi asked me to chair a committee called the Select Committee on the Modernization of Congress, which makes us sound like we were the IT help desk, but we were nicknamed the Fix Congress Committee. And it was a group of 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans, and it went over 4 years. And we looked under the hood of the institution and tried to propose reforms to make Congress work better for the American people. Everything from looking at how Congress can do a better job of recruiting and retaining and having more diverse staff, looking at how Congress uses technology, even looking at some tricky issues like, how do you have a more civil and collaborative institution? And we have
ungerrymander?
Political scientist, management consultant, organizational psychologist, marriage counselor. I thought about bringing in an exorcist. Set up time with this football coach who took over a team.
And my proposal, and I think everybody can get behind it, we have the congressional districts drawn by a computer. It's a simple algorithm. It balances it perfectly. However many thousands of people need to be in the district, it lets it perfectly proportion it out. And then we have competitive congressional races, and it makes the country so much better. He said he wanted a DEI Congress. Drake, that is also an excellent suggestion. Congressional Hunger Games.
That had a notoriously corrosive culture, and he turned it into a winner. And I said, Coach, what do you do when you have players on the team that are like trying to sabotage the team? And he said, well, I cut them. And I said, well, we don't really have that option. And then he asked me a question. He said, how do you do new player orientation? And much of the orientation process is, is an exercise in keeping the two parties from talking to each other. Okay, Democrats, you get on this bus. Republicans, you get on that bus. And this coach said to me, well, I don't know much about Congress, but it seems like you ought to stop doing that. And this last year, the orientation process actually involved Democrats and Republicans going through orientation together. And listen, someone could look at that and say, hey, bang up job, Kilmer, Congress is clearly fixed. Obviously, that's not the case, although I'm reminded of a conversation I had with the House chaplain during the 15th round of votes for Speaker of the House. And I said, pray harder. She put her hand on my...
Pray harder.
Just imagine how rough things would be if I wasn't praying this hard. So that's sort of how I look at the work of the Modernization Committee. We passed 202 recommendations, and I actually think over time, you're going to see some positive change within the institution as a consequence of that work.
I think that's it for us, but thank you so much.
Full of shit.
Hey.
You bet.
Yeah.
Did I forget anything?
Many of them were full of shit. Many of them should have retired years ago. Speaking of people leaving their jobs, apparently Ken Klippenstein is leaving his job at The Intercept.
Investigative journalist Ken Klippenstein, who had built his career at outlets like The Nation, Young Turks, and most recently The Intercept, is stepping out on his own.
Klippenstein made the announcement on his X account on Tuesday, linking to a more in-depth explanation on Substack, where he's going about his move to pursue journalism on his own. Now, as he writes in this post titled "Why I'm Resigning from The Intercept and Starting Something New," Klippenstein writes, quote, "The Intercept has been taken over by suits who have abandoned its founding mission of fearless and adversarial journalism, and I can't continue in an environment where fear of funders is more important than
Same old story.
itself." He also says the news media sucks because they do not write for the public, but instead for their sources, industries they cover, and of course, for the wealthy. Here to talk about that and describe what happened with the corporatization of The Intercept leading to his resignation is Ken himself. Welcome to Rising.
Hey guys, great to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us. Obviously, I think Glenn Greenwald's departure from The Intercept some years back was an issue that ended up being of tremendous interest to many of our viewers who overlap with The Intercept. Obviously, we featured your journalism a lot. Lee Fong, Glenn, Ryan Grimm helped co-host the show at one point, so we have relied on great work coming out of The Intercept. But you say that you reached an inevitable parting of the ways because of the management culture there. Can you give us more detail?
Yeah, so several months ago, they laid off a huge number of staff in the newsroom. The editor-in-chief, that's prompted the deputy editor to leave, social media editor, managing editor, I mean, the writers, the list goes on. And at that same time, they've been hiring a bevy of management consultants, including C-suite positions.
Sounds about right.
So I think that really speaks to what their value set and priorities at this point in time are. But that's specific to the business side and the board of directors that...
So they're trying to like gut it, get as much money out of it as they can, and then it'll be bankrupt here in a few years. They get a golden parachute, and The Intercept goes under, and it's another bastion of journalism we've lost. Holy fuck. Dystopian.
Runs the nonprofit. I think there are people in the newsroom that want to get back to doing reporting, but under the stifling conditions and the lack of resources that they have, and the bureaucracy that has been brought on by the all these business hires, it's become difficult to impossible to do that journalism.
Yeah, literally impossible. You lay out in your Substack a couple cases where a veteran editor that you were working with was stymied by the business side, the management side, stopping you from doing stories that sound pretty textbook Intercept, frankly, the kind of thing that the organization exists to do. You know, national security stories where you have inside reporting, that sort of thing, the thing that made the outlet famous. Can you give more detail there?
Yeah, so I had a story on Jeff Bezos and his decision to lavish a $100 million charity grant to Eva Longoria, the actress and celebrity, as well as Admiral William McRaven, who was he's now the retired former head of the Joint Special Operations Command, the kind of secretive unit within the Pentagon that runs all kinds of commando operations. And so I thought this was kind of like vintage Intercept. I mean, one of its founders, Jeremy Scahill, he wrote an Academy Award-winning documentary called Dirty Wars that dealt with Admiral McRaven, and he wrote a book of the same name. And in addition to that, it's the billionaire, throwing around his influence. Because if you
where is Scahill? Did he die?
A nonprofit that McRaven's wife is on the board of, that nonprofit has ties to Bezos as well. So it just struck me as a kind of circle jerk, frankly, of influence and glad handing. And I mean, it just hit.
Oh, did he?
That made me want to work at The Intercept in the first place, which is, the huge footprint.
Well, that's really sad. I loved him.
Society by billionaires and all their resources, national security, something I cover, and the relationship between the two. So I was stunned when I learned that there were problems with it. I didn't think. I mean, there are certainly edge cases, and I'm willing to, hear people's concerns out, but this wasn't one of them.
So specifically, Ken, what were you told was the problem with this story?
Well, I wasn't told anything. The general counsel, David Braylow at the company, back-channeled with my editor and sent an email to him, which I published in the Substack resignation post, which I encourage everyone to read in full because I try my best to substantiate and provide specifics so that it wasn't something like what Robbie alluded to off camera, where there are these kind of grievances. Who knows what really happened? I try to really provide the readers with, concrete evidence so they could judge for themselves. And so what the email shows is he called the story, quote, naive. And he said that, isn't it normal for, so basically the point of the story was that $100 million grant that was given to the celebrity admiral and the celebrity actress is the exact same amount of money that the Washington Post, the Bezos-owned Washington Post, lost in the year prior, leading to devastating newsroom cuts. And it just shows the seriousness that this guy has.
So Cahill might not be dead.
Specifically, the exact amount of money that the Washington
I can
Post
look that up.
The Post, love it or hate it, Bezos said that his interest in getting involved in it was not to make money; it was to support the news. And so I think this shows that he's not very serious about that. But so what the general counsel back-channeled with my editor in private, I didn't know any of this.
He's still alive.
Immediately subsequent to the email and call, an email was that it was naive. And isn't it normal for a businessman to want to make? Isn't it?
It says he's still The Intercept. He's tweeted. Yeah, he's wrote articles for The Intercept. I feel like I haven't read anything by him. He's been on Democracy Now! He used to do a podcast. I would listen to it all the time, but I haven't had a new episode in a while. Igloo, welcome in, my friend. Somebody shout out Igloo.
Normal to want to make these companies solvent, so on and so forth. And then he called my editor privately, and he said that
I'm not high enough for this shit.
This is something that parallels in some ways our own billionaire donor, who was Pierre Omidyar, who's the major contributor to The Intercept. And my editor said, well, that's unfortunate, but I mean that can't influence the
Pierre
story or not. And then the general counsel said, I'm killing the story. He just unilaterally said that. He's not an editor. He said, there were no legal concerns with the story. It was just editorial concerns. And then my editor, being someone who has a lot of integrity, and is the reason that I chose to work with him at The Intercept and will be working with him at my Substack, said, well, then I'm going to quit because this is unacceptable. And so at that point, the general counsel backed off and we ultimately published it. But he immediately called me. I took contemporaneous notes on the entire incident, and that's reflected in the resignation post.
Yeah, Ken, I do think that's really the explosive part of this story, that because of the perceived conflict of interest with one's own billionaire backer as a news institution, a story that's critiquing this fundamental problem of what it means to have a billionaire backer of a news institution wasn't able to be covered, or there was an effort to kill that story. It's such an important point as we are seeing a lot of media institutions flail absent the stewardship of a billionaire donor. And we talk about this when we critique what's going on transparency-wise at Twitter, Washington Post, or any number of institutions. I wonder if you could help us understand when The Intercept got to this place. Obviously, Pierre Omidyar has been a backer from the beginning, but it does seem like these issues have become exacerbated perhaps as The Intercept has struggled with fundraising separate and apart from Pierre Omidyar.
Yeah, so the general counsel is not wrong. There are certain features redolent of
picture unrelated.
Case. Omidyar has ramped down his support for The Intercept, similarly leading to devastating newsroom cuts. But at that point, you can go in one of two directions. You can try to keep, hoping that that Omidyar will give you money and do what you need to do to maximize the chances that happens, or you can try to go off in a direction that's going to grow your small dollar donors and independent donors, which is what I really hope to do at my Substack, so that I never have to be in a situation like this. By putting this letter out, I realize I'm lighting my career on fire with other outlets like The Intercept. But, I thought it through, and I don't really care that I do that because I never want to be in a situation like that again, where I'm pressured to put concerns of these, anything else other than the journalism over the journalism. And so that's why
I
did. And I think I'm hopeful about it too, because I really think there are a lot of people that want news that looks different than what's already out there. I think it's a misconception that, there's just no money for news. Maybe there's no money for this boring, drivel that's written for Washington, that's written for people's sources. I say in the post, if you want to know who the journalism is for, go look at the ads. Yep. See the luxury cars they're advertising. Look at the, you can open up the New Yorker, you'll find ads for ExxonMobil, you'll find ads for Charles Schwab investing. That means it's not for you, and they don't particularly hide it. It's all sitting right there. So I never want to be involved in a situation like that again, because it just feels rotten. I don't know how else to say. As soon as I heard this, I just felt sick. the direction in which it had gone. And to the extent that I'm sympathetic, they are running out of money. They have had their money down, ramped down. I mean, they still have a lot of money compared to other newsrooms. I don't think that should be overlooked. So I imagine there's a sense of panic, but none of that justifies, inflecting your coverage.
Well, yeah, and it's where you decide to make cuts. You shared in your Substack post an organization chart for The Intercept that shows all of these senior positions, management positions, chief digital officer, the general counsel, the strategy officer, all these kinds of people, and then a smaller or comparatively small journalism division. Yeah, like I was saying before we started filming the segment, I've worked for a number of media companies. I've seen from both sides the people leaving and having grievances, and the company having grievances, and oftentimes there's a middle ground and there's mutual wrongdoing, and I don't want to just let people trash their employer, but you brought a lot of very specific information.
Why not?
Substack post. Really explaining the constraints on you.
Trashing your employer is kicking authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Intercept wants to speak to that. We'd invite them to do so, of course. But
please, I would love for them to tell their side
describe
story.
a really difficult.
Oh, fucking Klippenstein has been like an integral part of the news I bring you here on the Troll Patrol. Hands down, one of the top sources that I'm getting news from. Absolutely. So fucking A, I will follow Ken wherever he goes. And definitely a class act, a real journalist, and an S-tier poster. Fuck Robbie Schwab. That's Suave. Schwuva? Okay, Warlord, I feel like you're kind of slacking on content because them making an announcement that somebody left their windows down is not exactly there's not even fucking video. What the hell? What the They made an announcement that their windows were down. Like, why would I interrupt the show for that? What the You Brits, you're weird. Go eat your beans. You're Warlord. You're supposed to provide us with stories of chaos and looting and plunder. What the hell? What kind of a warlord is it? Hey, your windows are down. It's late. You're slapstick. You're slap silly. Is that what it's? Slap silly? Fucking, I don't even know any. I think I'm getting dumber. I really do. Could be the drugs.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Cancel Justin, indeed. Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, signed into law a repeal of the ban on abortion.
A ban that was passed by 27 men before Arizona was even a state. A time when America was at war over the right to own slaves. A time before women could even vote. Today, we are doing what 23 governors and 55 legislatures refused to do, and I'm so proud to be the ones that got this job done. And while I'm proud to sign this bill and provide a moment of relief for Arizonans, we still have work to do.
We do indeed still have work to do.
Governor Katie Hobbs signed the bill that will repeal the 1864 near total abortion ban today after the Arizona Supreme Court approved enforcement last month. But as our political reporter Rachel Louise Just tells us, this is not the end of this story.
After weeks of legislative back and forth, the bill that will repeal the upcoming abortion ban in Arizona has made it to Governor Hobbs, who signed it this afternoon.
People are entitled to their own religious beliefs, and that does not entitle them to force those on other people when it comes to
Goddamn right.
bodily autonomy and personal health care decisions.
Hobbs signing this bill just 24 hours after the Senate approved it.
It's a sad day for unborn babies and their mothers. Today's a day where Arizona took a different turn.
Those words from Center for Arizona Policy President Kathy Herod. But Hobbs' signature is not the end of the road for the 1864 abortion ban. It's still set to become the law of the land on June 27th, according to Attorney General Chris Mays. That's because the repeal doesn't take effect until 90 days after the legislative session ends, and that could still be weeks or months from now. Hobbs says she knows the ban could still become law.
Thread, good evening.
I'm going to fight as hard as I can.
No, we got so much time left.
Goes into effect.
Others are fighting on the other side, like Herod, who has advocated for the 1864 ban for years.
Our state lawmakers did not stand for the lives of unborn children.
The battle to get here took 4 weeks of session and the support of 5 Republicans who came over to vote with Democrats.
They got it right in 1864.
Those Republicans saying they felt the near total abortion ban, which makes no exceptions for rape or incest, goes too far.
So this is nothing more than political opportunism.
Hobbs still criticizing the Republicans who helped make this signature possible.
For these
Don't whip it out in public unless you have consent.
In this situation, 2 of them voted for the 2022 ban that explicitly contained the trigger clause that triggered this 1864 ban.
The next fight outside of the courtroom will take place in November, when Arizona voters will likely be able to vote on a constitutional amendment that would make access to abortion guaranteed. The divide...
Holy shit indeed, Thread.
It's an extreme abortion amendment. It does not reflect where Arizonans are on the abortion issue.
Across the state, abortion is a bipartisan issue, and that regardless of party, ethnicity, Arizonans support access to abortion.
For ABC 15's political team, I'm Rachel Louise Just.
Good on Governor Hobbs and the legislature in Arizona. Meanwhile, we go to another swing state in the upcoming 2024 election. Governor of Georgia has activists marching on his mansion due to the passage and his signing of an immigration bill. Anonymous gifter giving out a gift sub to Flash. Hell yeah. Thank you, anonymous gifter. It's hard to find I should have covered the city, the country of Georgia is having mass protests over a foreign agent bill. These protests are over the immigration bill that Governor
Hello,
Kemp
and thanks
signed.
for joining us tonight. Governor Kemp signed 10 public safety bills into law today. One of them, House Bill 1105, aims to tighten immigration laws. It gained support after an Augusta University nursing student was killed on the University of Georgia campus earlier this year. Camila Williams spoke with the Peach County Sheriff and with someone who helps undocumented immigrants.
Why does his neck look too small for his suit? What the fuck is going on here?
To get their take on the new law.
It's unfair that because of a Hispanic criminal, everybody has to pay.
Angelica Angel
Everybody has to pee?
compared to Jose Ibarra, the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley. She says it's not fair.
It's not fair that everyone's going to have to pay the consequences for somebody that murdered someone carelessly.
Angel is the owner of Angel's Multi-Services and Insurance. She helps undocumented aliens get insurance, registration, and find an attorney. She says the law puts a target on the backs of the Latin and Hispanic community.
So customers are really scared, and they're saying they might have to leave the state of Georgia because of these new laws. They're scared for their families and just being deported.
Peach County Sheriff Terry Deese says the bill is an accountability law. He says he wants the Latin Hispanic community to reach out if they are concerned.
New law only puts the burden on us to fill out reports. It doesn't give us any rights to just go stop somebody because they look like they might be from somewhere else.
Deese says they've always worked with immigration services, but there will be a new system.
Now we just make a phone call. We've got a 1-800 number. We notify them that we have somebody. They check their records and they'll call us back and say, we want to place a hold on this person.
Angel says she hopes local officials and law enforcement don't compare her and others to Jose Ibarra.
Just because one person did it doesn't mean that everybody's here to murder people.
Sheriff Deese told me that the Georgia Sheriff's Association will be sending out guidelines in the next coming weeks about how to report someone to immigration services. In Peach County, Camila Williams, 13 WMAZ News.
Thanks.
Good job, Camille. What, like, seriously? He's not turtly enough for the Turtle Club. I'm horrible. I'm cutting this. We're running long. Yeah, Thread, you thought you just got here in time. Like, I've still got so much shit to go through. We've been running long tonight. Ah, fuck. Let's go ahead and get this commercial break out of the way. Yeah, no one ever talks about St. Helena anymore, though. St. Helena. What? I thought he was saying St. Helena. St. Helena. Like SANTI. I don't practice St. Helena. Santalina. Santalina, that's what I thought he was saying. I don't practice Santalina. God damn it. When we come back from the other side of the break, we're going to be doing crime stories. It was a end to a 10-day manhunt. We have a chase with a cop accused of child rape. Police killed a would-be school shooter in Wisconsin. Several teens died after a pit maneuver. A pizza delivery driver was shot because he went into the wrong driveway. Oh, it's just a parade of horrors. A scuba captain is facing 10 years for the deaths of scuba divers. We're going to talk about vampire facials. I forgot what they actually are now. I've made vampire cum jokes for so long. I forgot what the actual vampire facial story was about, but we're going to find out. There's another Boeing whistleblower. Ooh, there's a gigantic crash in Connecticut that closed down the interstate. Santalina. He was saying Santalina. It was when we were watching Brett Weinstein last night. I don't know why I went on and I suggested Brett Weinstein, and he was saying Santalina. Oh, it was Eric. No, it was Brett first. No, it was Eric talking about Santalina. Okay, yeah. But he was saying Santalina, and he meant St. Helena. So I heard it as Santalina. If you're watching on Twitch, you're going to get 3 minutes of commercials. We get the commercials out of the way, you come back, nobody misses any content. I'm just going to yak with the chat here. I might take a piss. Might go and piss in Dan Crenshaw's eye. We'll be here when you come back. You're on the Troll Patrol live. Here on the YouTube, I'm going to try to hit the commercial for you. Once again, it tells me to try again. I don't know. No, another Boeing whistleblower has died. He didn't work for Boeing directly. He worked for a supplier of Boeing. And he apparently had some kind of medical accident. It sounds suspicious. Not high enough for this shit. It was COVID gun. I don't know what I'm going to make for dinner after I get off here. It's going to be too late to bake some chicken. Need to do that tomorrow. COVID gun would be a fun weapon to have in a video game. Doesn't affect everybody the same though. Some people get it and they're like close to death for a week. Other people get it, they bounce back in like a day. Not going to do a freak show tomorrow night. We're going to do a fucking around stream tomorrow night. 10 o'clock when a freak show normally would be. Okay, Mox, I haven't checked it out. There's been all these stories about like they thought they found the cause of Havana syndrome. I thought we put this to rest. People were just goddamn believing bullshit. It was like a mass hysteria thing. But there's been all these stories here recently that like it's real. Caused by crickets? I had heard that was a hypothesis they had. We're going streaking tomorrow. I'm already invading Cuba. I've been playing Far Cry 6. Almost done liberating that motherfucker. I got Quesadilla, welcome in. I was very problematic. They shouldn't let me on Echoplex. Shouldn't let me out in polite society. They shouldn't let me on Twitch. We'll see how I should get a lettuce, and we should see how long if I can outlast the lettuce. I'll put the lettuce up here on the bar, and we'll see if I can outlast the lettuce on Twitch. Before I get banned again. I was on Twitch for years without being banned. Played like the god-awfulest videos. So it's amazing to me that I actually got myself banned. Hopefully we don't do it again. Everybody back from the commercial break. Welcome, welcome. It's the Troll Patrol Live. We're doing crime stories, so if you don't like the graphic crime, you might want to it could take us up to an hour to do all these crime stories. And I don't have that much fun stuff to do on the other side, but I do kind of find it very fun what I got. When I was finishing up the show, I was like, God damn, there's a lot of crime and not a lot of bullshit at the end. I need some. I was like, oh, here, we'll do this. I got a few things up my sleeve. It's predominantly crime stories that we got coming at you now. Some people aren't into the wild murders and police chases and things. I love it. And you will love it.
ABC 5 News at 10. Breaking news. Police tonight arrest Xavier Tate Jr. for the murder of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca.
Team coverage on the NBC 5 News at 10 starts now.
Shit, I went to college with that dude. Seriously. I totally went to college with that dude.
10 starts now. It is a busy night at 10 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Stephen Holtz.
And I'm Allison Rosati. Breaking tonight, the manhunt is over following the murder of Officer Luis Huesca. Authorities this evening captured 22-year-old Xavier Tate Jr., who is charged with killing Officer Huesca.
This is a long-standing police tradition. Sources tell NBC5 authorities used Officer Huesca's handcuffs when they took Tate into custody tonight.
He was captured tonight in Glendale Heights, and we are learning more details about how this all went down. Let's get right to Alex Maragos to walk us through everything that we are learning tonight. Alex?
Allison, Stephan, it was 10 days on the run for Xavier Tate. Now, one of the most wanted men in Illinois was found tonight in an apartment complex in Glendale Heights, and law enforcement sources tell NBC5 that Homeland Security, U.S. Marshals, and CPD all worked to bring the accused cop killer into custody.
Damn.
Now, sources sent us multiple pictures taken shortly after the arrest. Tate was considered armed and dangerous, but we're told he was taken into
custody. He looks like just a little punk kid.
At the Ellen Crossing Apartments, and that law enforcement had been watching Tate. We do not know for how long. Now, a $100,000 reward had been offered for information leading to the.
He can't even grow a beard.
We do not know if police were tipped off to his location. But let's show you how we got to this point. So Chicago police officer Luis Huesca was killed outside of his home in Gage Park the early morning hours of April 21st. His gun and car were stolen. It was 5 days later that police found that gun in Morgan Park, near the home of Xavier Tate's associate, Cassius Tate. Then it was just this evening, police closed in on Xavier Tate in Glendale Heights. Two sources tell NBC5 that
Tate boys
spent time in Iowa, then came back to Illinois. We also had heard that he had ties to other cities in Illinois. Don't know if he spent time there. Officer Huesca was just 30 years old. He was just laid to rest on Monday, and we heard from his family that day saying their anguish was compounded by the lack of answers and justice in his death. Now, with tonight's arrest, they now have a path to some closure, but still no answer to the biggest.
He looks like a punk to me.
Why Huesca was shot in front of his home just as he was finishing his shift early that Saturday morning. Now, Tate is scheduled to appear in court at 11:30 tomorrow morning for.
And that was the initial reports that we got, was that he was off duty when he was shot. Because we did this story when it happened. I think that was a Sunday night.
His first hearing. We will be there and bring you the latest developments. Allison and Stephan.
Okay, that timeline important. All the different locations where they found the weapon, where they found him tonight. We appreciate you breaking that down for us.
10 long days.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
And as we have been reporting, multiple law enforcement agencies involved that took Xavier Tate into custody tonight in the western suburbs.
NBC5's Courtney Sisk live in Glendale Heights tonight where this arrest went down, and I'm sure a lot of neighbors surprised to see that huge law enforcement presence.
Hi, Stephan. Absolutely. There are a lot of people who are still watching the investigation unfold behind me. Again, this is at the Ellen Crossing apartment complex. This is where police say they found and took Tate into custody. Chicago police says it was their officers and the U.S. Marshal Regional Great Lakes Task Force that apprehended him today. Go ahead and take a look right now. It is this apartment complex right here that investigators seem to be looking at heavily in this area. We also see police tape, and the Chicago police now have their mobile command post out here during this investigation. This complex is about 35 miles away from where Tate is accused of shooting and killing Officer Luis Huesca outside of his Gage Park home. I just spoke with one of Huesca's family members over the phone. They confirmed they received the call from CPD today that Tate is in custody. It's unclear why he was here, who he was with. Cook County court records indicate that Tate lives in Aurora. I spoke with people who live here who knew about the search for Tate, but they never imagined that he would turn up right across the street.
When I went outside, I saw a bunch of police with just like a bunch of police officers over there in the area, and I was really shocked because I would have never expected it to happen here. And it's just crazy because this is.
I was told Chicago is a war zone,
and you wouldn't have guessed or expected any of this craziness. It's just really scary to think that he was here the whole time.
Again, out here in Glendale Heights, this is the Ellen Crossing apartment complex off of Gregory Avenue. We still have a lot of people who live in this area. I would say probably about 50 people out here watching this investigation unfold. Certainly a lot of questions that police have to investigate here to try and answer. Why was he here?
Yeah, Smokey that wants to watch.
And these are, of course, all things that we will be following throughout the evening and the days to come. We'll send it back to you for now.
Yes, we will. Courtney Sisk in Glendale Heights tonight. Thank you very much. And of course, we will continue to follow this. Stay with NBC5 News for continuing coverage of the arrest of suspect Xavier Tate. And the
haven't gained a good cop, because there's only one good kind of cop. Lay down, motherfucker! Stop hitting the mic with your ass. No, lay down. I've been having a hard time with him because he likes to get in my lap and then scratch my leg, and I'm like, dude, that hurts, and I have to sit him down. And then he'll kick my keyboard. He'll put his foot all up in like the keys and shit. I mean, I love him to death. But I'm like, cuddle me over there when we're on the couch when it's couch time. And like when I want to cuddle, no, he doesn't want. He wants to be in the kitten mittens. You'll be smitten. Now when I want to cuddle, no, he's over in the window. He can't be bothered with me. He's got to come get in my lap when a show is going on. Can't really see him though, because he's a smoky. He's sucking his titty. That's a thing he does. This is one that went under my radar. I didn't catch this one. It happened about a week ago. God, it happened on 420. 9 days ago. No, that wouldn't have been 420. I'm on. Hold on. We're going to go to Oregon, where a former cop led police on a high-speed chase. I'll let the news anchor explain it.
Confirming just hours ago that a former cop, an accused child rapist at the center of a massive manhunt, shot himself earlier today, and the 1-year-old boy he kidnapped is safe. Now, police say it happened as they were chasing Elias Huizar in a car near Eugene, Oregon. They say he shot himself in the head, but it's unclear what his condition is right now. Now, this is a look at a very scene where that manhunt ended not too long ago, and it's all going down on Interstate 5 in Oregon. You see a bunch of police cars and officers surrounding that scene. Now, this all started yesterday after investigators say Huizar shot and killed his ex-wife outside.
He looks like what's the child actor that was friends with Michael Jackson, that was Donatello in the Ninja Turtles. Why am I spacing on his name right now? He has the horrible music that he makes. Oh my God. That's who he looks like, though.
Of an elementary school in West Richland, Washington. They later found the body of his girlfriend at his house.
Corey Feldman.
They realized
Fuzzy Simba
named Roman Huizar was missing.
He looks like Corey Feldman.
Now, it happened as Huizar was supposed to be in court yesterday on charges of child rape from an incident in February where he allegedly sexually assaulted a teenage girl. It is a lot to break down. So NBC News.
He was a cop.
Lopez joins us now. First off, Elwin, so what do we know about his condition? He shot himself, and what do we know about the condition of the baby here?
Yeah, well, look at how busy that interstate was. So all of this happened during a busy time in Eugene, Oregon, and it happened after a police pursuit. So what we know from police is that he shot himself. They're saying that his condition is unknown, so they're not saying whether he's dead or not at this moment. The good news is that 1-year-old boy is safe and sound in police custody. But again, we don't really know exactly the details as to how this police pursuit occurred specifically, whether he was seen in surveillance cameras or not, whether someone called, spotted. We know that he initially fled the scene in a Toyota Corolla, a silver Toyota, and then they spot him in Portland in a black sedan. So we don't really know the details as to what happened after he fled the scene, simply that he was spotted in Portland, and then of course everything ended, that whole manhunt that literally, stretched from Washington to Oregon. And we know that U.S. Marshals and FBI were involved.
I'm assuming that's a body right there.
Just looking at the details of this case, it's a lot to take in. You got allegations of child rape, of murder, of kidnapping. How did this all start?
Yeah, so to get a full picture as to how this all took place, we have to go back to February. That's when he was accused of child rape. He pled not guilty, but in court documents, it alleges that he sexually assaulted an underage girl at his home while she was sleeping. Now, the one thing to point out here is that at that home, he was living.
He did indeed die from a self-inflicted gunshot wound on April 23rd. Elias Huger. Did they say his name? Yeah, they did.
With another underage girl that he met while he was a school resource officer at her middle school, and that he shared a 9-month-old at the time with her. So that is what took place at that moment. And then after that is when police say he was set to appear in court on Monday.
For one of those charges?
Yes, for that charge. And instead, on that day, he went to the school where his ex-wife works. According to police, he shot and killed her there. And then police obtained a search warrant. They went to his home later that day, and that's when they found his girlfriend dead. So they believe he killed not only his ex-wife, but his girlfriend as well, and then took off with that 1-year-old boy.
What else do we know about his background? A former cop, a school resource officer at a middle
school resource officer.
The Kaima Police Department and talked to them about his history. So he had been employed for 9 years. And when they told me that he resigned, I asked, why did he resign? Was there something going on? They said,
he was diddling kids.
Disciplinary action right before he resigned. And when I asked specifically what that was in regard to, they did not elaborate. Right?
Diddling kids.
We do know that he's 39 years old, that he did have that disciplinary action. He resigned after that, but he was a school resource officer and worked at the school as recently as last year.
I mean, it just seems like
wow.
Flag after red flag
Absolutely.
after red flag.
Absolutely.
Elwin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Gotti.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. Oh my God. Well, if police aren't killing kids, or I fucked that one up. If police aren't fucking kids in this country, they're killing kids. This time it was an armed shooter outside of a school in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin Middle School will be closed today after police shoot and kill a student following reports of someone outside the school with a weapon.
And this morning we are still asking a lot of questions here about what happened and why. Hannah Flood joins us from our newsroom in the Live Center with more and what we know to this point. Hannah, good morning.
Good morning, Tom and Kelly. So this
morning, Hannah.
Later this morning, they'll announce plans for support services for students and staff. Obviously very shaken up after yesterday's lockdown and then police response. So here's what we know happened so far. This all happened outside of a middle school in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin. It's about 25 miles west of Madison, Wisconsin. Now, authorities originally describing the incident as an active shooter situation, but later clarifying that this student never entered the building. They said they saw this person, later we learned, student with a weapon outside of the school. Police confirmed the person involved was a boy, a child who was a student in the school district. However, we're still waiting for law enforcement to clarify a lot
failure, though,
today, including if that student fired a weapon, what type of weapon that student had, and if that student tried to get into the school building. Authorities say multiple Mount Horeb police officers fired their weapons, ultimately killing that student. No other students were physically harmed during the incident, but when parents heard about what happened, they were obviously concerned and rushed to the school to meet their kids.
Obviously, I know it's tough for the school to handle all of these type of things, but getting that call and not knowing, like, you know, are they going to make it? Is this going to be our last phone call? It's hard.
I will say this, that had it not been for our community stepping up to the plate to help support capital and operational referendums that allowed us to install safety measures, including vestibules, locked front doors and the like, this could have been a far worse tragedy.
So again, officials are saying the student never actually made it inside the school. The Department of Justice has not yet named the boy who was killed. Again, no officers were injured, but the officers involved are on standard administrative leave. And again, the district will be closed today, but they're offering support to those students and staff. We'll, of course, keep you updated as we expect to get some more details from law enforcement later on today.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a lot better than a Uvalde. Hate to see the kids die. Anyway, 4 teenagers are dead after a high-speed chase ended with cops using a pit maneuver. Once again, illustrating why they should not be allowed to use these.
All 4 teens are now dead after a crash during a high-speed chase this weekend. Bradford County Sheriff's deputies say someone reported a car stolen in Gainesville last week. The stolen car was later involved in a high-speed chase that started in Bradford County and ended in Alachua. A state trooper rammed the car, causing it to roll over and hit a pole. There were 4 teens in the car between the ages of 14 to 16. 2 of the teens died at the scene. The other 2 were taken to the hospital. Newberry Mayor Jordan Marley.
I charge those cops. That is fucking murder. Those kids do not deserve to die for whatever fucking issue they had with the law enforcement. God damn. The SUV was stolen and followed it while they were waiting backup. The deputy could tell multiple people were in the vehicle. Once backup arrived, deputies attempted to pull the SUV over, but it slowed down and then sped off. Deputies reached speeds of 111 miles per hour during the chase because they shouldn't have chased it. But a mechanism in their patrol vehicles prevented them from accelerating more. Officials said deputies pulled back after they were unable to keep up with the vehicle, and a Florida Highway Patrol trooper continued the chase. The trooper rammed the vehicle and used a pit maneuver, causing the SUV to roll over and collide with a cement pole. Authorities said 2 of the teenagers in the SUV were wearing ankle monitors and 3 had active warrants, which does not matter. They did not deserve to be murdered. Fuck them cops. At least the cops didn't shoot them, I guess. Like this 18-year-old delivery driver who apparently got shot at just because he was in the wrong driveway.
Nothing close to what I thought would happen on a delivery, I'll say that.
You can hear it in his voice. 18-year-old Caden Wheeler is still processing what happened to him on Monday night.
So I was literally about to get killed right there. So I mean, it's attempted murder, in my opinion.
The Domino's worker, on his first and only delivery of the night, was shot at on North Pool Street in Ashland City. On the quiet residential street,
in Tennessee.
The houses are only a few feet from each other. Wheeler was shot at after parking in the wrong driveway.
I understand keeping your firearm, trying to be protected and protect your family, but that was a little, I don't think you should automatically just shoot at somebody because they pulled in, you know. I don't think that's right.
No!
Wheeler accidentally parked at 114B North Pool Street instead of 118. They are directly next door to each other. After he dropped the pizza at the correct house and got back in his truck, police say suspect Ryan Babcock used a handgun to shoot the driver's side below the gas tank, the wheel on the driver's side, and right above the driver's side window. He told police he thought someone was breaking into his car, so he went outside and started shooting.
Wow.
Wheeler's car wasn't marked, but he was in a Domino's uniform and had a pizza delivery bag.
I do believe there is, if you do have reasonable cause, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, but in certain cases like that, I don't think that was a reasonable cause.
No.
Therefore, I don't agree with it.
Wheeler and his family think the charge should be attempted homicide rather than aggravated assault.
Seriously.
Favorite derby of all time is 1997. Silver Charm holding off Captain Bodgett by a neck.
Oh, shut up. I hate you in that jacket.
The old.
And horse racing is inhumane, if that's what you're talking about. You're talking about Kentucky Derby bullshit. Fuck horse racing. It should be outlawed, so should dog racing. The captain of a scuba diving boat facing 10 years in prison. Human racing's okay. I'm totally into human racing. I've been to all kinds of races. I like racing. A scuba diver captain who might have been racing, we don't know, faces 10 years in prison in California.
A dive boat that caught fire in Southern California, killing 34 people, could be sent to prison today. Jerry Boylan was found guilty of 1 count of misconduct or neglect by a ship officer last year. Boylan appealed that verdict. The 2019 tragedy started when the Concepcion caught fire while anchored off the Channel Islands near Santa Barbara. Boylan was the first to abandon ship. Prosecutors argued that he ignored several safety measures. Today's sentencing is
He did a George. Fucking, there was a fire and he pushed everybody out of the way and got off the ship.
dependent on whether Boylan's appeal moves forward. He faces up to 10 years in prison. Now, 5 members of the Stockton family was among the 34 people that were killed in that dive boat. The Kitasol family was on that boat celebrating a birthday. A Sacramento couple was also killed in the fire. They had just moved to California from Texas just a few months before.
They were all adorable, too. Fuck that dude. God damn. As long as we're talking about crashes and fires and shit. Fiery crash in Connecticut shut down the interstate. I hope we got video.
Breaking news of that crash on I-95 in Connecticut. You can see how fiery it was. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm David Ushering.
I'm Natalie Pasquarella, and that tanker fire has caused just a big mess on the highway, the side roads. That's where large trucks like that are being forced to maneuver some narrow streets, even low-hanging wires. News 4's Linda Baccaro joining us live from Norwalk with the latest on just how long the officials think this will be shut down, Linda?
That's the big question right now. Let me tell you, lots of drivers not happy today after this accident. We're on Stewart Avenue, and right behind me, you can see the Fairfield Avenue Bridge, which is where this accident took place this morning at exit 15 in Norwalk. The crews are still cleaning up right here. The tanker truck is still on scene, and traffic, as you may be able to see through our chopper video, a nightmare all day long with trucks on this busy I-95 corridor trying to get around the road closure after this morning's massive fire. Huge flames engulfed the Fairfield Avenue Bridge over I-95 starting at about 5:30 this morning. Video showing thousands of gallons of fuel from a tanker truck feeding the fire after a collision involving a tractor trailer and a vehicle. The busy stretch of I-95 by exit 15 in Norwalk shut in both directions, causing massive traffic delays. Connecticut Avenue, right along I-95, clogged with tractor trailers.
Holy shit.
Their runs. Still in Norwalk, Ava Jenner left New Haven at 9 o'clock this morning.
That was 4 hours ago. And
Normally, how long would that be?
maybe like an hour.
How's the traffic been?
So far, it's been like 3 hours.
Driving, as I said, 7 is totally clogged. West Avenue is moving. East Avenue is all clogged, and this, I don't know what to say. This is
Police posted at intersections throughout Norwalk. Huge trucks trying to detour, like this one, which snagged power lines while navigating narrow, winding roads between exits 13 and 17 off I-95.
Be a while, and the bridge will be, well, the road will be closed down at least a day, maybe 2 or 3 days.
Anybody that can work from home for the next couple of days, do so until we can get things straightened out.
At the scene, crews trying to offload the 8,500 gallons of fuel on the tanker truck, a good amount of it burning after the impact. The focus now on assessing structural damage on the Fairfield Avenue overpass and getting drivers back on the road.
The plan, I think, is to remove the bridge completely and open the highway and then figure out repairing it later.
We're working with State DOT to come up with the tractor trailer plan.
And of course, investigators at this hour trying to figure out exactly what caused this accident, and it's unclear at this point exactly how long the roads will be closed. We are expecting Governor Lamont to hold an update in about an hour or so. Of course, when that happens, we will get you any new information. But the one piece of good news after this terrible accident here is that despite all of the damage that we see here, and again, much perhaps structural damage to the bridge, there were no injuries. That is
amazing.
But lots of traffic. Avoid the area over the next few days if you can. That's the latest live in Norwalk. I'm Linda Baccaro, News 4, New York.
Is it Norwalk, Connecticut? I guess on the other side of the line from New York. I believe this happened in New York. We're going to learn what vampire facials are. CDC has linked vampire facials to an outbreak of HIV. Ironic. Oh, YouTube is not wanting to play.
Is sharing new
There we go.
information about an unlicensed Albuquerque spa that gave people HIV
Albuquerque.
after receiving vampire facials. The procedure involves drawing blood from your arm with a needle, separating platelets, then applying them back to your face. 5 different people have gotten the disease. In 2018, a New Mexico DOH investigation found unwrapped needles and unlabeled blood tubes in the facility, which started the whole investigation. The report shows the VIP beauty salon and spa on the corner of Tijeras and 9th Street did not follow proper procedure.
Don't do that. There is no proper procedure. Don't take your blood out and then inject it into your face. That's stupid. Don't ever do that. I'm stunned. That's what a vampire facial is. When you take blood from your ass and inject it in your face. Whistleblower Josh Dean of blowing.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
If your blood was supposed to be in your face, they'd put it there. If you're doing ass to face, I've got some advice for you.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
Not high enough for this shit. Whistleblower Josh Dean of Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems has died. Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems, and one of the first whistleblowers to allege Spirit leadership had ignored manufacturing defects on the 737 MAX, died Tuesday morning after a struggle with a sudden, fast-spreading infection. Known as Josh, Dean lived in Wichita, Kansas, where Spirit is based. He was 45 and had been in good health and was noted for having a healthy lifestyle. He died after 2 weeks in critical condition, his aunt Carol Parsons said. Spirit spokesperson Joe Bacchino said, "Our thoughts are with Josh Dean's family. This sudden loss is stunning news here and for his loved ones." Dean had given a deposition in Spirit's shareholder lawsuit and also filed a complaint with the Federal Aviation Administration alleging serious and gross misconduct by senior quality management of the 737 production line at Spirit. Spirit fired Dean in April 2023, and he had filed a complaint with the Department of Labor alleging his termination was in retaliation for raising concerns related to aviation safety. Parsons said, those of you who don't remember, this is the second Boeing whistleblower that has died in as many months. There are no such things as coincidence. Parsons said Dean became ill and went to the hospital because he was having trouble breathing just over 2 weeks ago. He was intubated and developed pneumonia and then a serious bacterial infection, MRSA. MRSA is nothing to sneeze at. MRSA does kill people. It's very common in hospitals. Condition deteriorated rapidly and he was airlifted from Wichita to a hospital in Oklahoma City. There he was put on an ECMO machine, which circulates and oxygenates a patient's blood outside the body, taking over heart and lung function when a patient's organs don't work on their own. His mother posted a message Friday on Facebook relating all those details and saying that Dean was fighting for his life. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But somebody should probably look into that shit. What kind of person? Flash, they whacked him. What kind of person might whack another person to get away with their misdeeds for money. I would call them a sick fuck.
May I please see the documents?
Yes, sir, and the witnesses' documents there.
May I please point out that this form
the
of...
senator's time has expired and there are other senators waiting.
I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective advice,
I'm sure you
Doc.
do. You can put them into a question for the record and...
Yes, I'd
have
like to submit all of the good doctors' objective tweets and scientific analysis for the record.
That will be done without objection. Senator Merkley.
May I clarify one final point?
Proceed.
These are not my tweets. These are retweets. It's an important
You
contradiction.
often retweet stuff you don't support? Is that what you're telling me, Doc?
I did not say that I don't support this. I simply did not tweet it, which, as you were alleging.
But you retweeted
I'd
them,
like
didn't
to
you?
make very clear that this form of character
retweeted them,
assassination
didn't
is
you?
characteristic of the propaganda techniques of fossil fuel
You
industry.
retweeted
Senator
it,
Merkley.
didn't you?
Thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
It's Senator Merkley's time.
May
Live in
I
Dallas.
please see the documents?
Yes, sir. And
Are you gonna call me a sick fuck as in the congressional record?
Simply did not tweet it, which, as you were alleging.
But you retweeted them,
I'd like
didn't
to
you?
make very clear that this
But
form
you
of character
retweeted them,
assassination
didn't
is
you?
characteristic of the propaganda techniques of fossil fuel
You
industry.
retweeted
Senator
it,
Merkley.
didn't you?
Thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
It's Senator Merkley.
Yes. Anyone with any sense would call you a sick fuck, old lady Kennedy. George Santos, the former congressman, has apparently donned the lipstick and wig while dressed as drag queen persona Kitara Revache. Mitochondria, good evening. Mox, Senator Kennedy has definitely said some really raunchy things.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I'm glad Kennedy is in the mood for cock. George Santos dons lipstick and wig while dressed as drag queen persona Kitara Revache for a $350 cameo. So apparently he is on Cameo. You can get his drag queen persona. The former GOP House Representative George Santos donned lipstick and wig this week as he appeared as his drag queen persona Kitara Revache for a $350 cameo video. Radar Online can report Santos shared his drag queen persona for the first time on Tuesday in a video shared on Cameo's official Instagram page.
Hey, Club Condo. It's your favorite.
Can I make this?
Kitara.
Hey, let me make this bigger. Where's Kitara at? How often do you post, goddammit? No, I want this one specifically. Here we go. I hate reels.
Condo. It's your favorite. Kitara. After 18 years in the closet, George Santos pulled me back out. Whatever. Anyway, I hear you're a bunch of little freaks out there and you love to dance all night long like it's nobody's business. You know what? You gotta elevate it. Gotta make it more risque. You gotta make it more fun. Where's the zhush? I have an advice for you. How about put some wigs on, get some boas, and go have real fun. Let's see who whips your hair faster, side to side, whatever. But y'all gotta stop being boring. Dave essentially thinks you're boring because he wants you all to be more risque. Mwah. All the love. I hope y'all enjoy it. Hey, Club Condo.
He's a lot cuter as Kitara. Well, I want to like him so much because, there's so much to like about George Santos. I don't want him to leave us for sure. I want him in the spotlight for as long as possible. Unfortunately, now that George Santos is not a congressman, he can no longer participate in the Congressional Dog Lovers Cock. The Christy Nome dog shooting has sparked the Congressional Dog Lovers Caucus. Given recent dog-related news, it's evident that both sides of the aisle reject animal cruelty and support protecting man's best friend. And they look adorable with their puppies. Even fucking Nancy Mace over here, who I despise. A bipartisan group of lawmakers launched the Congressional Dog Lovers Caucus on Thursday, less than a week after South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem's killing of her dog disgusted Democrats and Republicans alike. Moskowitz, alongside Representatives Susan Wild and Nancy Mace, said they launched the Congressional Dog Lovers Caucus to share their love of dogs and their companionship and find bipartisan common ground in Congress. So, Jared Moskowitz from Florida posted this video satirizing the event.
Find some peace
I'm going to get fucking copyrighted on this. Moskowitz. I've made everybody sad. I didn't know what this was going to be. That wasn't actually cricket, was it? Don't show me the actual cricket. That would make me really sad. I was gonna end on that, but I can't. I can't end on that. I'm sorry. Okay. Here's what I This is fucking cute. An animal that horrifies me, but this video specifically is cute as fuck. Animal that horrifies me and that I do not find cuddly in any way. There's an alligator trying to jump a fence. Poor dude, why didn't you go over and help him? Is that just a small alligator? Is that like a teenage alligator? Shelly! That's what I thought. It kind of looks like a, still a youngin'. Old enough to get into mischief. Like getting on the other side of this fence. His little legs are the cutest fucking thing. I didn't. Do you guys want to watch Lauren Boebert jack off the flag? I totally have that video. I ran out of time. I had to cut a lot of shit from the protest part of the show. We can totally watch Lauren Boebert jack off a flag, though. Why did she jack off a flag? Simp! Simp! Welcome! Ow, thank you, Simp! Throw them bits around. Did you say that shit needs to come down? Ma'am, it's private property they're allowed to be there and you're a guest. You don't come in and just start ripping shit down. Start jacking off their flags. What else is new, Simp? That's all we've seen in these protests. Fuck you, Bobert. It is amazing that these Republicans keep going to these campuses and think this is going to be a good look for them. They're almost like a alligator trying to get over a fence. Oh my God, Thread, many men have tried. She's not my type. She's not Taylor Business. Oh my God, who did Sparkles tell me that she could fix earlier? It was kind of... Oh, Candace Owens. Sparkles wants to date Candace Owens or something and fix her. That one surprised me. She might just have some self-loathing issues. Warlord, you're still going.
Nobody. Yay.
Russian bear boxing, is that what you want to watch? I don't think I'm in the mood for Russian bear boxing tonight. I was really hoping we'd get a call. Some dude's been arguing with me on Twitter.
Nobody.
But alas, it is not meant to be.
Yay. Nobody.
He's having such a hard time.
Yay. Nobody.
If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to go over and say hey to Skidadair. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. We're going to do a fucking around stream tomorrow night. Normal time of the Freak Show. We'll be here listening to music. We might watch some wrestling, some TV shows, play some video games. Who knows what we'll do. Nope, I'm going to be here. Fucking around stream. 10 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night.